Welcome to the Brew. Today on the Lex Factor, we have one of our partners with us, Wes Walton from Stock Options Report. We're going to go through his path in the industry that led to this great product. So stay with us, and we'll get to Wes after the bell. This is my Yellowstone music. Yeah. We well, a double play. How about that? Hi, Wes. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for coming on. I got to tell you something. We love when the platform providers come on the show because we learn so much. And I think the folks really like to learn about the great tools that are out there to help the trader, right? So first of all, let's tell us a little bit about you. What your path was to where we are right this second. So give us a little background.
So I started trading Forex actually when I was 15 years old.
Jeez.
And it's actually how I got my first job, and actually how I learned coding was because I was building indicators and automated trading strategies and stuff for MetaTrader 4.
Okay.
Never really thought it was going to lead into a career, but I've been doing that basically ever since. And didn't take long before I started realizing that Forex wasn't the only asset class out there that could be useful and traded, especially with a somewhat smaller trading account, which is what I had back then. So I moved more or less into stocks, and then I started looking at options, and options were more or less what I fell in love with, but there was quite a bit of a learning curve on options. I don't know if you probably know that as well as anybody else, but
oh yeah,
options wasn't just a simple buying and selling anymore, and that's, I don't know. I guess the rest of it isn't really all that important. It's just more or less getting into options and getting into stocks and deciding to use some of the skills that I had developed in programming and strategy creation to make it a little bit easier for myself, because I started trying to use spreadsheets and
no good, huh?
Yeah, it just wasn't good.
No, I get it. So so you actually traded options at some, or you said you traded Forex. Then you traded some stocks, and then you found out the wild world of options, which I love the most. And that was your kind of your honey ground, right? But it's difficult. Would you agree? Or at least it's difficult for a beginner, I should say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah. Very difficult.
And you, it sounds like we had similar questions. Do you ever trade on a trading floor ever? Or were you always off floor doing it in the retail space?
Always in the retail space.
Okay. So you're never a market maker or anything like that. Yeah. So here's the deal, man. And the viewers ask me these questions all the time. They're like, why is it so hard? I said, I think for a beginner, it's hard for a few reasons. First of all, you have to understand the nomenclature and how to speak options a little bit, right? Then there's so many spreads and ways to combine things, and there's a personality to all this stuff, right? There's short premium, there's long premium, right? They do different things. There's unlimited risk, there's limited risk, there's all kinds of risk reward profiles. You got to find, as a trader, as a retail trader, where your personality lies, what's good for you. And I think your product kind of helped you out with this, right? This is what led to Stock Options Report. Is that fairly accurate?
Yeah, that's accurate. It's what came first, the chicken or the egg? Did I decide that I needed some automation to help me before I started doing better with options, or did I start doing better with options and then realize I could automate it? And it's too long ago to really remember exactly, but yeah, the automating some of this process, because like you said, there's so many combinations of trades, different types of spreads and calls and puts, and it gets a little overwhelming. And I think I got caught in the trap personally of just trying to keep it simple, like I was doing with stocks
Sure.
and with Forex, where I just buy a call and or buy a put, and I quickly realized that it just wasn't the way to do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's
So
too many different ways you can make money with that. So anyways,
yeah, no, I agree with that. So you said a magic word, okay? And I'm gonna tell the audience what the magic word is. It's called automation. It is kind of buzzy right now. Everyone likes it. It's really, really cool. But you know, you still have, as a trader, you as the human, you have to put some inputs into it, right? And you know, I'm going to have you share the screen in a few seconds here, not quite yet, and talk to us about your product. But you know, automation can be a double-edged sword a little bit. It can be terrifically wonderful, and I'm a big fan of it. Or you can wrap yourself up in a little spool and strangle yourself as well.
Yeah,
you got to be careful. Tell us about how you did this automation, and if you want to, you want to go to the screen now to do this, or what's better?
Yeah, we can go to the screen now, and I can show it.
All right, let's do that. So it's stock options report. This is your product. This is what you built, right?
Yeah.
And we'll get to all the details later. Let's go through this a little bit, and we'll get to the how much you're charging for it and all that kind of good stuff at the end. Is that okay?
Oh yeah, that's
perfect. All right. Tell us what's going on here. Let's go through a quick demo here, and we'll have some questions.
So the stock options report actually started off as just this tool here.
Okay.
I had built quite a few other tools that I liked using, and I built some of those into this as well. But it started with this. The main thing that I wanted when I was trading options and when I started putting this together was something that would go through all of the combinations of calls and puts and buys and sells, and then spit out the results.
Yep.
And that created a massive table of results. So then I started going through and picking out what it was that I was actually looking for. And what I was actually looking for was to control risk while maximizing the potential profit that I could make from each individual trade. So that's where this came in. I know it doesn't look like much now, but let's type in a symbol.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go ahead and get it.
Okay.
All right. So it's calculating trades, and this may take a few seconds, but that's because it's running literally millions of combinations on the back end, trying to find the best possible trades that meet one of several different criteria. So do I want to control the amount of margin I'm using, or the amount of premium I'll have to use for the trade, or am I looking for a higher profit potential, even though it carries a little bit of extra risk?
Sure.
I also wanted to know if I also wanted to be able to tell if I'm going to be going bullish or bearish, and I want to be able to select when it is I'd like to get out of the trade. So if I want to only hold a trade for a day, or if I want to hold it for longer than a day. So let's say that the trade hold date is November 29th, and I click on bullish because I think that Apple is going to go up, which, hopefully there's a disclaimer somewhere that says that this is not a recommendation.
Have no fear. We got disclaimers everywhere.
Oh, perfect. Cool. I'm just showing functionality. I'm not really trying to look for a trade for myself.
This is not investment advice. No worries. Okay, so you hit bullish, and I forgot you hit low margin. I didn't see what you hit. Sorry.
Yeah. I stuck with the lowest margin.
Okay, perfect. So all that means for the folks is that you're using, the smallest amount of money you possibly can use, right? For the trade. Okay, so that's what the margin is. All right. So once you do that, now it's going to spit out some ideas here, right?
Yep.
Wow, well, that's a lot of ideas.
Yeah, and these aren't recommendations like you would receive from some guru or a trade recommendation service where they've done the analysis and they've determined that this particular instrument is going to be bullish or bearish or whatever. This is, you have done the analysis and you've determined that you know which instrument you want to trade, but you're having some difficulty figuring out which options trade you'd like to use, or you would like a starting place for it. So even if you are seasoned and you know how to do it and you know what you're doing, then having a relatively decent starting place is sometimes makes things a little bit easier. And that's what automation is all about, making things easier.
Okay.
So when we click on one of the trades, so if I want to do a long call butterfly, then we've got the estimated premium and the estimated margin, and then the potential profit.
Okay.
And then you got the trade legs for that.
Yeah. And so it's now, how does it pick the trade legs? And I know you pick bullish. I get that. There's so many combinations we can make. It just, is there a back tester going on here? What's happening?
So there's no back test going on. It's using implied volatility to forecast the change in price.
Okay.
In the for the upcoming month.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it takes whatever the estimated price is for the trade hold date that you've selected,
Mm-hmm.
and then it calculates the profit for all of the trade legs for calls and puts, buys and sells, and then it combines them in the back end using the logic for what a butterfly or a condor or a diagonal spread or just a long call. And then it combines together all of the profit from the various trade legs, and then it categorizes by the margin or whatever that's being used. So it calculates the margin, the premium, and the profit, and then depending on which category you select.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Good. Does it tell you, especially for the beginner, does it tell some of the things that are debits versus credits, or not yet?
It does, actually.
Well, it does tell you that.
Yeah, if you were to find a trade, which doesn't look like any of these have that at the moment, but if you do have a trade that high profit ones might have it somewhere. Now it'll have a debit versus credit.
I gotcha. Okay, cool. Can you combine lowest margin, highest profit? Can you do two things like that yet, or not so much?
Well, lowest margin and highest profit would be somewhat contradictory in nature.
That's why I want to do it. I want to be able to have a crazy one. Look at, I paid a nickel for this and I can make $1 million.
Well, that'll be
right?
Yeah, that'll be once we start being able to forecast the future, with maybe a higher degree of certainty.
Right. I love it. Okay. All right, that's great. So essentially, this would be great for a beginner, I got to tell you, because a beginner might not even know what a condor is, right, in the first place. So what happens here is you can tell the machine, just what your parameters are in the stock in question, bullish, bearish, and what your threshold of pain is, and it's going to throw out all these processes. Now, when you pick one of these, are you able to analyze the risk matrix of it at all? Have you built that in yet?
So I do that on the broker side personally.
Okay.
This was made for beginner, and for just finding trade sets that you might want to use. It didn't really when I thought about it from a beginner's perspective, then some of the charts and graphs that you get from some of the higher end analytical platforms get a little confusing.
Yep.
Like,
especially
why am I
beginner.
looking at them?
Yep.
Yeah,
for sure.
and so more or less try to keep it at a level where if you want to take it a little bit more advanced, then you can do that from an analytical platform if that's the way that you want to go. But
sure,
a lot of that's already being calculated on the back end. It's just didn't want to overwhelm anyone that looked at it for the first time.
Yeah, understood. So pretty simple when you first come in. You type in your ticker and you get to here, right? So that's great. Anything else we should know about the top headings up there? I see you have research, education, etc. I mean, there are some other things that I built into it just because, from automation background, I am kind of obsessed with finding ways of making my life easier as much as possible. And to that end, I also built in a scanner for automating the selection of a list of stocks, and then also having criteria for selecting top
stocks. So, the top 5 stocks
Mm-hmm.
would be sorted by volume, or
Mm-hmm.
from the back test that's run after you select your conditions, the win percent or profit factor. So
Okay.
I personally sort mine by volume most of the time,
Mm-hmm.
but I just add in condition sets. So I select the indicator that I want to use.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say it's the commodity channel index is crossing above, let's say 100.
Okay.
And then I select, let's say the simple moving average
Mm-hmm.
is, well, actually, let's do the candle. The close of the last candle is greater than the simple moving average.
Got it.
And so then once I've selected the various conditions that I want, this is very simplistic, and I don't actually recommend this as a strategy, but once I've selected the conditions, then I can create my scanner.
Okay.
And then it does a back test on those. It's interesting. Didn't even bring one up.
You tricked it.
Yeah, I did, didn't I? All right, here we go. That's better. Yeah. All right, so it runs a back test based on the conditions that I set, and then they are the instruments that match that particular condition set are listed here. So if we click on it, then we actually see where the various points in time were where those conditions were met for this particular instrument, and then how much it would have made if you had closed out the trade when the conditions were no longer met. So some back testing stuff, and then when it looks for the top stocks. I base this one on volume, but since it's running a back test and it's finding the profit factor for each one of them and the win percent, then you can base your top stocks on profit factor or win percent. So maybe you want the top 5 that have the highest win percent. In that case, it takes those and it sorts them, and then you can grab the details, and you can see that there's a very similar interface here because it grabs some of the trades for this particular instrument. But then the part that I don't know, I don't want to say I was impressed with something I did myself, but
go ahead.
It with how much work it took to actually get this. I was a little bit impressed, but it actually allows you to subscribe to your list. So you create a list, and then you can subscribe to it, so you could get it in an email every day. So every day you get an email telling you what the top 5 stocks on your list were.
Right.
So in the case of that CCI crosses up strategy, then I can view the list of the stocks. But I also received an email this morning
that tells you
my top 5 for each one.
Yeah, so, that's great.
Yeah, so then I had a PSAR one and momentum. And so then I can click to get more details. And then once I found the instrument that I want to trade, then I take it over to the search. So if I want to trade, T. Huh.
That's AT&T, right?
Yeah, I think so. So if I want to trade T, then I'll type in T.
And then you get all this data for your. Yep. Great. Perfect. So then you go to town and build this.
Yep.
Awesome. I love it.
So that's the whole thing.
That's awesome. Nice and easy, right, Wes?
Yeah. That's my my bread and butter, is trying to do easy rather than trying to overcomplicate a tool and make it something that the average user can't look at without getting a migraine. So
okay. So where can folks find your product? Give me the website. So stockoptionsreport.com. Is it that simple?
Yeah, it's that simple. If you go to stockoptionsreport.com, then you'll end up.
We can go back to the screen here. Okay, good.
So if you go to stockoptionsreport.com, you'll end up here where we've got all of what I just explained, actually in video form, explained in even more detail.
Okay, great.
In these videos here. And then You can subscribe if you'd like, or if you go back to the homepage, then there's a place where you can subscribe to our existing stock options report top 5 stocks list that goes out every day. And that is free. And it looks like this.
Oh, nice.
So every day we send out this top 5 stocks.
Terrific.
You can get it in your inbox for free.
Oh, good. And so that's your little teaser, and then you can sign up for the paid services. How much?
It's $9 a month. So
wow.
It's not going to break the bank.
Not going to break the bank.
Yeah, it's not going to break the bank. We like making sure that tools are accessible, not just from a simplicity standpoint, but also from an affordability standpoint. Because if you're just getting started in options, especially,
you're
not going to want to spend a whole bunch of money on tools that you may not even be able to understand in the first place. But
amen. I agree with that. This really seems like it makes the process easy, especially for the newbie with options. That's terrific. So $9 a month. Let's go to stockoptionsreport.com. I think it's a plural, right? Stock options. Yes. Good. And you can sign up for that. So, and you're integrated with Tradier, right? Or not? Not yet. You are.
We are integrated with Tradier. It's one of the
awesome
ways that we keep our costs down is
yes.
If you have a Tradier account, you sign up and you can integrate it directly. It doesn't require anything other than logging into your Tradier account. It's pretty easy. And then everything's opened up to you.
Perfect. Okay. That's awesome. And you don't it's not part of the paper trading environment, is it? It's only live trading. Is that right or not?
Yeah, it's live trading.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, so sometimes there's a paper trading environment as well. But no, I love it. I think that's great. And once a user finds his or her trade, they put it into the system they want to use to execute, and off they go.
Yep.
Awesome. I love it. Look at that automation. Look how easy that is. My goodness. I am trying to think of all this stuff on my own. You know, I could just be typing things in and hitting go, more or less.
Yeah. Well, that's what automation is supposed to be for, right?
Yeah.
Is making your life easier. But I agree though that too much automation can be a hinderment more than anything. So
yeah, it certainly can. Well, that's great. I hope we'll get this out and we'll get some new customers for you. We hope, and everyone get out there and try Wes's product stock options report. Right, $9 a month. That's unbelievable. I can't believe it.
That's what we're hoping that everyone will say.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. All right, good. Well, good to see you. Nice talking with you. We'll have this out soon, and next we'll get you back on down the road a little bit. Okay.
That sounds perfect. Thanks.
All right. You bet, Wes. Talk soon. Okay.
Yep. Talk soon.
All right.
You know how the financial world goes. Here comes the buzzkill. Please make sure to take some time to read this boring disclaimer. We will owe you one.